Hello Aquarius friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Aquarius October 2020, Astrology Must Knows. We've got 2 full moons this month. One full moon always means something coming to fruition, completion, possibly drama, possibly ecstatic emotion, intensity and emotion for sure. But when we have 2 full moons in a month, then we've got 2 spots in the month where we have this building energy, this culmination energy. And so October 1st and October 31st, we've got these 2 crazy full moons, which means the one on Halloween or Samhain or All Hallows Eve or whatever you celebrate, that's going to be a blue moon. And of course, you know the saying, once in a blue moon, kind of referring to something that doesn't happen very often. That energy is going to surround the end of the month and the beginning of into November. And there's a lot of magical mysticism and lore that's around full moon. So the chance for spiritual breakthroughs, connections to the other side, the hidden worlds being revealed are very much increased, especially at the end of the month. For Aquarius placements, we've got 2 main areas that are highlighted. And that has to do with money. Okay, some of you are going to see this in your money section. So fullness, completion, fruition, something like that having to do with your money or finances. Some of you are also going to see this energy, or actually all of you to some degree, will have the experience of fullness, completion, fruition in the energy of your communication sector. So expressing yourself, an artistic project, an editing project, something that has to do with your siblings or any of your relatives, really, for that matter. Then, because the 4th house is brought in, especially for those of you earlier in the sign, which will say like January born, you've got energies of the home and family very strongly aspected. So there's this wide range. Oh, and then also vehicles and driving and your mobility. So you want to be extra special careful with your mobility, walking, exercising, driving. I'm always hoping that I can assist people to decide to not text while driving and to not mess with their phones while driving. But there are certain astrological hotspots where accidents are more likely to happen because of the incoherent energy and the clashes in the mobility section. And this month is one of those months. So be extra special, careful. Driving and walking, texting while walking when you're on a busy street or anything. Just maybe try to make a commitment to not doing that, and it could protect you at this time. Now, all of that energy is kind of something that we talked about with, maybe that's not a positive thing, right? But there are positive potentials, because remember, something coming to culmination or coming to fruition can also be an accomplishment. So you could have something recognized or acknowledged. You could get a raise. You could have, something important go on with a relative that can be a positive thing too. So those sectors are very much highlighted. And in general, the energy of relationships is very much highlighted for everyone in the zodiac at this time, because Libra and Scorpio are featured in the personal planet movements. Those of you towards the end of the sign, will say like the last 10 days or 10 degrees, like 20 to 29 degrees if you know your placements. And of course, all my readings, I always say this, are for Moon in Aquarius, Rising Aquarius, Sun in Aquarius. But those of you towards the end of the sign, you're going to have extra energy in your relationships, because even though Mercury is focusing on relationships with its retrograde this month, and that's for everybody, those of you towards the end of the sign are really going to also have that in the house of relationships. So an extra special focus on relationships for you all there. So when I say relationships, what I mean by what you may see this month has to do with strife and or resolutions in any of your connections with other people. Okay, so this is going to be an emotional month. Think back to June and July, all right? We've had a little bit of a reprieve in August and September where we weren't having eclipse energies, we weren't having retrograde in a water sign, but now in October, we're back to that same energy. The eclipses don't start until November and December, but as I've been teaching for a very long time, and you will see this the more you look for it, eclipses can bring their news, can stir up to a boil 4 to 6 even more weeks before the actual eclipse. So October is prime time for some news to come in from the eclipses. And we'll talk more about the eclipses in the November and December report, and I'll tell you where they're going to show up in your charts. But for now, I want to build the layers of kind of showing you how intense this month is going to be. All of 2020 has been a year of transition, and October into the beginning of November is like a mini 2020 in its excess. Okay, so a lot of things culminating, a lot of things building, a lot of things ready to crack. But all the emotion and all the weight is kind of piling up at this time. Scorpio is a very intense energy, and not only do we have planets moving through Scorpio in September and October and November, we also have the Mercury retrograde, which is bringing things back from the past, themes from the past to go back over. So you'll notice things from the past having a major theme. A very important must know for this month is it's not the best month to make plans that are rigid. Okay, now if you have to and there's no way around it, you got to do what you got to do, follow your flow. Some people will be exceptions to this. But most people will see confusion, uncertainty, plan changes that take place in this month. My suggestion and what I will be doing is keeping this month very light as far as projects, as far as plans, as far as commitments, because things are going to come up, some things out of left field that will need to be addressed, and the more free time and centeredness you have to deal with them, the easier it's going to be present with them. Also, a lot of emotions are going to come up, and a chance to integrate yucky emotions are going to present. And you'll see this happening. We've been talking about this since Mars has been retrograde. The energy started to get really strong in August. It went retrograde in September, fully retrograde in October. It will go direct at some point in November, but it's not going to be done with the energy of retrograde really until the beginning of 2021. Mars rules anger and aggression and frustration. So you'll see a lot of these bubbling up energies of anger. If you haven't prior taken my advice on finding the emotional freedom technique, also called EFT, and looking it up and working with it, this would be a really good time to do that because there's tons of free resources on it, and it helps you actually deal with the anger, the frustration, the patterns, the anxiety, the fear, the uncertainty. It helps you, and it's scientifically proven. It's not just a metaphysical technique. It's one that's very much grounded in anatomical, physiological science. So leave the space. That's my best advice. Okay, so the topics of self versus others, setting boundaries, your individual pursuits versus other people's demands or desires, or your relationship desires and your individual desires, those are all going to clash a lot this month. So just kind of be on the lookout for that and ways to rectify them. But sitting right alongside the conflicts are also possibilities for sweet resolutions. And that is brought to us from Venus in Virgo, making kisses with all the outer planets in the earth signs. Okay, so outer planets are the ones furthest from us. And the ones that are in earth signs are Uranus, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto have been in Capricorn. Uranus is in Taurus. So now Venus is going to come and make a beautiful trine with all of those placements. At some point this month, it will kiss all of those placements. And Venus rules love and beauty and money and self-esteem. So there's all of this kind of uncovering and strife potential and, unfinished business energy coming up. But alongside of it is the chance for alchemy and resolution and positive outcomes that have come from previous stressors. Okay, so do know that there is a light at the end of any of the dark tunnels that may present at this time, and the more you look for it, the more it will be there, and the more you look for possible blessings from challenges, the more you will see them. I have many times people will post and say, thank you for letting me know and reminding me of the blessings that can come from these challenges. Just share one very quick story that illustrates this. When I was a teenager, I had a very bad injury, an accident. I fell down a flight of stairs, and I wasn't paralyzed, but I couldn't walk. And I had to crawl anywhere, and I couldn't go to school. And I was in an accelerated program where I was doing basically skipping a grade, and I had all of this schoolwork and I couldn't go to school, and it was a very intense, painful, long recovery. But some really positive things came from that time. And one of the blessings is that when I would slouch, okay, kids that age tend to, not really have good posture, right? When I would slouch, it would hurt more than when I would sit up straight. And so because of that, the muscle structure, the habit, or whatever it was, got locked into place for good posture at that time. And there was so much strife and drama and pain, but what emerged from that was a way that I've hold myself posturally that I think has helped me to be successful. There are studies about posture and self-esteem. And Jordan Peterson, if you don't know him, he's really fantastic. Look him up. But he talks about in one of his books about these studies with these lobsters and how posture determines a lot for these animals. And this is like something else to think of at this time, because the way that we position ourselves to experience life can dramatically change how we experience life, okay? So not only is this like a call out to look at your posture at this time, it's also a call out to remember that no matter what comes, beautiful things can come from the challenges, okay? So something really important to know about Mars retrograde is to not force things, okay? You can look up my resources on Mars retrograde. You can click underneath this video. It says more, a little arrow button, and you can have links to my Mars retrograde video and blog. And also in my write-up that I do for those of you who signed up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, I do a write-up 1 month early of the stars ahead, including every sweet and salty date and what you can expect from them delivered into your inbox 1 month early. But I have in there, any of those resources, a summary of the things to know about Mars retrograde. But one of the most important things to know is don't force anything, okay? And because aggression will boomerang back to you. So find healthy ways to deal with the emotions that come up, and you will be so much better off. Okay, so this has been a year of restriction, and this month you're really going to feel this kind of culmination of that. But as Jupiter and Saturn move into Aquarius in December, and you'll start feeling pieces of this even September, October into November, there's a break, there's a crack in the matrix of what we've been experiencing. The transition that we've been experiencing is going to open up into new birth. And the emotional hot point of right before the things open up is going to be in this time in October. Okay, so the energy of transition, everybody knows what that word means, but I want you to think about it this month from the perspective of a woman delivering a baby. Okay, this is a very important imagery to hold with you to understand what's happening this year, and then holographically culminating in this month of October is the energy of transition. It's a technical term used in the birthing community for the period of time when the cervix is dilated completely and the birth can occur at any moment. Okay, sometimes transition can last a long time. The cervix can be dilated for all that time. Sometimes it's just a few moments, and when it becomes dilated, then the baby comes out. But birth attendants know that the woman is in transition. This is a phase of the birthing process. When she says, "I can't do this. There's no way that I can do this. This is not going to happen." And my personal favorite, which is what I said during my first childbirth, which was, "People don't do this. Humanity is a lie." This is the crazy things that people come up with in that stress circumstance, is that there's no way that this baby is going to come out. And guess what? The baby comes out. One way or another, the baby comes out. And that is that tension, the fear, the uncertainty, that culmination that occurs right before a new birth, that's encapsulated in the month of October. So, a lot of fear is going to be running through your veins. Also important to note, Libra rules the kidneys. I've talked about before, and I will talk about it many other times in the future, that every organ has an emotional vibration that goes along with it. And the kidneys, ruled by Libra, which we've got a strong feature of Libra energy this month, has the energy of fear, okay? So there is a fear channel that goes through your body, starts at the adrenals, goes to the kidneys, goes down the psoas muscle. The psoas is a crazy hip flexor muscle that starts at your, in your vertebrae here, around here, and then goes down into your hips and then connects at your femur. And it's responsible for pulling your legs up. So if you're sitting for a long period of time, like you get all tight in here. And then there is a piriformis muscle, which is a hip rotator, and that's responsible for sciatica, which is another version of the fear response. And then the energy goes down your legs and then into your knees and then down your feet. So there's all of this energy of fear that follows this fear channel. And when your piriformis muscles and your psoas muscles and your hamstring and your quads even are tight, it holds that fear where you get stuck and literally paralyzed with fear. The topic of fear is going to come up in a huge way for individuals and globally at this time. But I want you to know beforehand, that's why I put this all out early. This is going to come and this is going to pass, okay? We're at a tension points in this month where everything is kind of on a standstill. There's a lot of uncertainty and changes. Things are going to come that are new, but they're not really happening yet. And there's a ton of fear. So the more you can flex, stretch and release these muscle groups. Look up the psoas muscle, P-S-O-A-S. Look at how to stretch that. Look at the piriformis muscle, P-I-R-I-F-O-R-M-I-S. Look at how to stretch that. Now, if you have a hip replacement or brittle bones, be careful. Have a practitioner help you to make sure it's safe for you to do this. But releasing and keeping stretched these muscles actually help to stop this welling up of fear in your energetic flow. All right, because it starts here, the fear, and then it goes down here and it gets stuck and then it can't pass through. So you want the energy of fear to come and go, feel the fear, do things anyway, have this normal process instead of having it be stuck, and stretching those muscles can really help that. Okay, so some other energies that are going to be highlighted for Aquarius this month have to do with writing, teaching, speaking, editing, teaching, learning, long distance travel, citizenship, and things that have to go on like regarding your place in the globe. I'm not necessarily recommending that you plan long distance travel at this time unless it's unavoidable or if it's intuitively led, you could have flow there. But like I said, a lot of changes are going to happen. But news, topics around these things can really come up in a big way. It's fine for you to say yes to things that have flexibility, things that, like if you're going to take a trip and you have a flexible flight, a lot of the airlines now are giving no extra cost for flexible cancellation. If you can do something like that, don't worry about it. Make your plans. If you can take a course where there's flexibility in the study, don't worry about it. Make your plans. It's just the things that you are concrete or that you have to force that are going to be not as well indicated at this time. But things involving writing books, creating curriculum, taking courses, things with your education, a lot of that is going to come into the forefront, and a lot of questions and things that maybe you studied before may come back that you're really drawn to. This in general is actually a really good time for studying things and researching things because the penetrating Scorpio energies make you want to dive deep into something, and those deep studies can yield amazing transformations. Okay, so let's see. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about is that Jupiter goes direct in September. And so here in October, it's really regaining its speed. It will start to have the conflicts that happened towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year and then carried on through 2020 that were part of this massive change and this massive transition. So the mischief making is coming back again, but the optimism, the options, the opportunities, the expansion, the growth is more likely to have some help at this time. So we want that and we like that and we're happy about that. Because when Jupiter is direct, there is a certain level of benevolence and luck that can return that isn't always present when it's retrograde. Also, since the eclipse energies are coming, a lot of changes are going to be coming. But this is that point at the end where the change is coming, but it's not, may not be there yet. Don't panic if you don't know what to do. Just kind of wait. Makes me think of the rabbit. If you ever look up Ted Andrews' work and study the rabbit does have a connection with the energy of fear, which is part of this response that I'm talking about. And the rabbit freezes, right? When it thinks that a predator sees it, it stops. And that freeze response is very much embodied in this month. So if you can hold off on making any decisions, you'll probably find that more pieces are going to be coming in about how things are going to open up. And I do really believe that starting at the end of November into December and then into 2021, options, solutions, more openness is going to come back. This year of restriction is not going to always be this way. And you know, the plagues that humanity has experienced, these are cyclical types of things and ongoing, you know, and there are things that are different about this, but there are things that are also the same about this. The crisis comes and the crisis goes. Okay, so just kind of keep your head up. Remember that we are going to transition out of this. There might be certain things that will be eternally changed because of what's gone on, but there are going to be new things, innovation and solutions that are coming, and don't let this month make you forget the fact that that is coming. Okay, so I have tons of more resources for you to be able to understand even more about what's going on this month in general and for you specifically. If you click under this video where it says more, there's a little arrow. It reveals all of these links to places where I've got tons of free resources. Most of my work is free. So definitely explore all of the things I create for you. I do written horoscopes that are super simple, very easy to follow summaries, very different than my videos at cozybysweetstarlight.com. You can also find healthy lifestyle blogs and astrology kissed blogs like teas for the different signs, and yoga for the sun's movement through different signs, and just there's so much there to explore. And if you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com or at cozybysweetstarlight.com, you will get my written report I referred to earlier, where I give all the sweet and salty dates, what you can expect from them, and how to best handle the energies delivered into your inbox 1 month early. So, and I don't spam you, I only send out like around 3 emails a month, and they all are information based, where they have links to different places, things I've created for you that are relevant to that time. I have free courses. You can check out my free courses, including one called Unleash Your Money Magnet, at my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. You can also see my paid courses there, including my course, Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. If you think I go into a lot of details in the videos, you will be blown away by the details that I go into in this course to fully prepare you for whatever you want to do with astrology. And you can see that course there. You can also go to anniehelpsyou.com and check out my additional blogs there. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.